All right, so now to our main topics. We're going to be talking about Terry Crews, Will and Jada, and boycotting the Derby, Kentucky Derby to be more specific. So let us begin with the Terry Crews situation. Brian and Mariah, you two are the most knowledgeable ones in this topic, so would you like to enlighten us?
Go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, you're right.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, Terry Crews, he has basically came out and said he's trying to defend himself, and he has talked about him being discounted from a lot of conversations of being black, and talking about how like he feels like that we have gatekeepers on who decides on who's black and who's not, and he feels that black people have different views, and just because you don't agree with certain movements, he likes to describe them as militant and black what do you say? What was it called?
Black supremacy.
Supremacist groups and things like the Black Power movement, things like that. That if you're not feeling that, that doesn't make you wrong. There's multiple ways to skin a cat, and that's just he got on Don Lennon and basically gave an interview talking about how different views and his point on things, and how he feels he's been discounted because he's successful coming from Flint, Michigan, and how he has a mixed race wife, and how his opinion doesn't count for some reason. Mm-hmm. So that's just a little breakdown of how he was describing it.
Okay, so more so the issue is that he's offended because people keep calling him a coon.
Mm-hmm.
In my opinion, I think that he's done multiple things to warrant being called a coon.
Mm-hmm.
And he, wants to cry about it and stuff on Twitter and in interviews and so forth. And definition of a coon, one may say, is, having someone who is, being, with a woman who is white or of mixed race and preferring her over a black woman or whatever, marrying outside of your race. Or pretty much taking the side of, the opposite side of your, group who's oppressed or whatever and so forth. But he's upset that he's being called a coon. But the issue is he wants to say that, a lot of people, the gatekeepers that you were talking about earlier, are, get to decide who is black and not. But I think that he's taking pieces of things that do have some weight to it and trying to put it into this whole argument that he has, and it's falling short tremendously. So yes, there is an issue with a lot of, some black people within the community who feel like, oh, you don't like hot sauce, so you're not black. Oh, you don't know this song, you're not black. They want to take, they even have a card game, Black Card Revoked or whatever. And it is an issue, but there's a bigger picture. So in the interview that, the talk that Charlamagne was doing was saying that it's okay to feel these ways, but at the same time, you have an opinion, okay, say it on the side or whatever, but you don't have to go to media. Mm-hmm. You don't have to have an interview with the press and this and that, because we all, as in the black community, have one goal. And here you are having your 2 cents here and there can cause a lot of infighting. Mm-hmm. So that, makes makes people like, not see the goal or whatever in mind. But I don't know.
Okay. I definitely see what's coming from with all that. Plus, like, every race has their own terminology when it comes to someone who's doing something different from the rest.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, I definitely have to agree with Charlamagne saying, like, hey, man, you do not have to go out there to media and say all these different things to try to defend yourself. But at the same time, I can also agree with what Terry Crews is saying. Like, I feel like it's kind of ridiculous how we're doing that towards our people. Like, we already have enough hate in the world right now. Why we're trying to do this exclusive stuff, like trying to cut everyone out from, like, the family or something like that. I kind of find it ridiculous how, like, what he was saying is that if you have an opinion that just seems to not match with the majority, you're pretty much black sheep. You're outside of the clan, and everyone is just going to think of you as a completely different thing, which I think that's kind of sad. But I feel like he should have just kept that towards himself and maybe like to his family and all that, instead of just like trying to directly attack like everyone who's been calling that. I feel like that's a little bit childish.
Well, you gonna say something?
Yeah, real quick, I think that what he's saying is kind of valid, but it's just about, to me personally, it holds some weight. But I really feel like that if his approach was a little different, then it would be fine, because similar situation with LeBron and everything. He has a whole way of doing things that he's actually doing the work. And he isn't wearing any name on the back of his jersey and everything. And he explained why, and nobody has said anything to him. I just think it has to do with his approach. I think his approach is a little off, but it's similar content. That's all I'm going.
I mean, I would agree to the fact that maybe like some of his approaches are kind of like off or kind of wayward. Personally, I come from a perspective where, I mean, I've heard my entire life, oh, you're not black, or oh, you talk white, or oh, you have a 4.0, oh, you're not even black. Like, I cannot stand when people try to invalidate blackness based, like, how can you invalidate my blackness? Like, you don't know what I do at home, you don't know what I do in my community, regardless of like who I marry or the decisions that I make as far as like my success or my business is concerned, regardless of like personal opinions aside. I don't like the idea that we as a black community feel we have to invalidate or like try to validate other people's blackness. Like that's crazy to me. Cause
I definitely agree.
That's
with
a tough one because it's like, how can you? I was born black just like you were. So, I mean, the decisions and the choices that I make are solely based upon me and me alone. So that doesn't make me any less black per se. You know what I'm saying? Because obviously I want the most for my community just like anyone else does. So why is me like being with even me? I'm with a mixed woman right now. So how does that make me any less black than you? That's irresponsible and it's ridiculous to say, I think.
See, when you try to throw in something like that, it also makes you think, what is the true definition of black then? Like, what is it? What does it means to be black? If it's not a race, then you're probably saying it's more like a personality thing.
And that kills me because black is not a personality trait.
Definitely not. Okay. So for you all who don't know, I am getting my master's in Pan-African Studies. So this is like, I get high off of like this type of conversations and stuff. So
She's on fire.
So I think that we should not hush Terry Crews for once. I want to put that out there because yes, that is a very important conversation, especially me as a very fair-skinned black woman. Like I get all the time, like in high school, I was too white to hang out with the black kids because I was, whatever. And then I was too black to hang out with the white kids.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
it's just
me too.
I understand it. However, you have to look at the root of the issue. Instead of having all this infighting and looking at, your black brothers and sisters and, going in on each other and stuff. The issue is these things root from, like Anthony said, what is blackness? Well, blackness was, it was created by, this negativity of it or like any type of whatever was created by white people. So they, made it opposed to whiteness. So then you have these stereotypes, that's begin to become created and stuff. Black people like fried chicken, they like watermelon, this and that. So then you have this another level, which is oppressed people tend to oppress other people.
Right.
So as, the black community being an oppressed group, sometimes we tend to oppress each other within our own groups. That's why we have colorism. That's why we have, black women and black men, going at it and here and there and so forth. So, like, instead of being mad at each other, we should find the root of it and then have an actual, intellectual conversation about it and deal with it.
Yeah, you're touching some very strong points.
And he went and he got off track, not only with his approach, but he started doing an acronym and things like that because he just wanted to get bailed out of being classified as a coon. And I can actually understand that. So, he does have some valid points if you can take them and run with them and break them down. As far as like what he talked about, gatekeepers and things like that, which he just described, and just having different views. And I think that really, in a sense, he's actually reaching out to people that have a different opinion that are afraid to say something or, have a...
No, don't give him that much credit. Do not give him that much
No,
credit.
I'm not giving that much credit. I mean, but it's valid.
He's trying to dig himself out of his own hole that he's created.
Yeah.
But he's not wrong what he's saying.
But why is he being called a coon? Why?
Because of what he did on America's Got Talent.
Exactly.
I think I know why she said
let's break that down. Let's get into that.
So I need some clarification.
So
What did he do on America? I know Gabrielle Union left America's Got Talent. I need clarification, and I'm sure a lot of the listeners do too.
So I love Gabrielle Union. Love her. If you're listening to this, girl, let's link up. But anyway, so she left America's Got Talent. I can't remember if she was fired or she just decided to leave herself. But because she was feeling like there was racism and sexism involved on the stage or whatever, behind the scenes or whatever. So she left and she did not comment on it. She did not say anything about anything because I guess she was waiting. She was going to do it on her own time or whatever. Well, Terry Crews did another interview and he was like talking and he was saying, pretty much as a black man, I talked to my wife about this. First of all, come on now, whatever. But he was just like, I, as a black man and being on set, I've never experienced, racism of any kind or this and that. Me personally, I haven't, but yada, yada, yada. So the underlying issue was, one, he didn't have to say anything. He didn't have to go to the press. He didn't have to have an interview. He didn't have to speak on anything because Gabrielle Union didn't say anything. So why do you feel the need to say anything at all? Two, by stating that he did not experience any racism or of any kind or whatever, he invalidated her experience on the show. So he undercut anything that she was saying. So there you go, and you have this crazy, angry black woman talking and saying that there's issues, and he's pretty much undercutting everything that she's saying, no, that ain't happening type stuff. So, yeah.
Yeah. I agree with you in the sense that it absolutely invalidates Gabrielle Union's experience for sure. I don't understand why I agree. I don't understand why he would feel the need to speak out about that. I mean, unfortunately, when you look at shows like America's Got Talent or just Hollywood or anywhere, in the upper echelon in general, I mean, there's going to be a lot of those system sense in those businesses, they're founded on racism, you know what I mean? White people weren't even on TV in the 50s, 60s, you know what I'm saying? So a lot of that stuff is ingrained. So obviously, regardless of whether it's said or not, we know what's happening, you know what I mean? So as far as for him to say, oh, well, I didn't experience anything, well, I mean, obviously it absolutely invalidates her experience, but it's we know that stuff is happening anyway. So
right.
why even have the need to say that? Because we know what's happening behind the scenes. And it may not be the case for everybody, you know what I'm saying? Because I'm sure LeBron James can go anywhere he wants to because he's LeBron James. But at the same time, it doesn't invalidate anyone else's experience. You get what I'm saying?
Also with that, I really feel, and I'm not giving him any credit, I think that he just doesn't see the big picture, or he's not looking at the big picture, because I guess in a sense maybe he felt some pressure by him being black, and that either he was going to get questioned, and it's only been a handful of black people, less than that, but him, Alicia Keys, and whoever else has been on the show that is black or that were actual guests and hosts or whatever, and it's just I think he was thinking, well, I never had any issues as a black man on the show, so I can say, hey, I never had no problem, but he did invalidate what she was saying. I just don't think he was thinking the big picture. He just wanted to say, I don't have an issue with you guys. Just because one black person has an issue with you doesn't mean all black people have an issue with you.
That is true.
So, you know what I'm saying? So I'm just saying that I don't think he saw the big picture.
I think, but I think that he did. I think that he knew strategically what he was doing. And what he did was, he was like, I'm about to preserve my coins. So I'm going to say this and leave it at that and walk away.
Yeah, that's smarter.
And which that's unfortunately,
but no, it's
that's
not smart.
That's for you to avoid it and not even worry about it.
That's Hollywood though, because 99% of people in Hollywood are only worried about themselves and trying to secure the bag for themselves. You know what I'm saying? So if that happens to you, unfortunately, Hollywood is not it's not all for one and one for all.
Exactly.
It's dog eat dog. So it's well, I mean, yeah, Gabrielle, that sucks, but I gotta secure my bag because I got bills, I got a family. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, I get it, right? So even though there may have been no malicious intent, unfortunately, that's Hollywood. And I mean, that's not even Hollywood all the time. You could go to Kroger and work at Kroger, and that could happen. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Well, yeah, that sucks. That she got scheduled at those hours,
but I need it.
But you know what I'm saying?
He's mid-level Hollywood anyway. He's not the top.
He's like a C-list celebrity.
I wouldn't say C. He's
I don't know. Most people know who Terry Crews is. Most people know who Terry Crews is.
Most people know who Terry Crews is, and he can be interchanged in a lot of things. There's been a lot of big productions and things like that. But what I'm saying is, he's like you say, he's not a LeBron James, not a Denzel Washington or Samuel Jackson. They're going to have jobs regardless. They're going to have things lined up where people are pretty much going to ask them to do parts and stuff. He is a guy that's still going to have to kind of go out there, do the chest peck thing and Old Spice.
Overrated.
You know what I'm saying? It's not overrated because
it is overrated.
Fitness in itself. Hollywood's finest of magazine cover.
I don't
You
know. They got
like this.
They got the Rock for that
This.
now. If they want
Exactly.
anybody who's
Yes.
muscular, they'll go to him.
Yes.
They definitely go to him. Big Samoan cat with a nice smile.
Anyway.
Hey, I'm Dwayne. You know what I'm saying? Absolutely.
What was that?
Absolutely. But you know how The Rock being so. That's why Kevin Hart be making fun of. But yeah. But yeah, so I mean, he's a person that he's like, hey, just because one black person is a problem, I ain't got no problem. I didn't see.
Well, my thing is, the issue is he had two options: either back her up or not say anything at all.
He should have just did what Alicia Keys did, not say nothing, because she didn't say anything.
But then it becomes an issue. But what if people are like asking him? You know what I'm saying?
Then
what does it become?
No
Then what does it
comment.
become?
They say it all the
comment.
time. Celebrities say it all the time.
Here's the thing about like life in general. No matter what you do, people are gonna be disappointed. So
That's
like
true.
if he were to come out
Terry
and
speak
and
up and back his sister.
you
That's
know
what
I'm
they
saying?
wanted to be like. Because I feel like the narrative would still be the same. Why Terry ain't speak up and back his sister? She's over doing this and that, and he spoke up. All right, he just didn't back his sister, unfortunately.
Yeah, but then it becomes he backs Gabrielle Union. Oh well, Terry Crews, we've never done nothing to you, so why are you? And then it becomes he's So I'm saying like either way, there was a lose-lose. No one was gonna be happy with the
And
decision.
that was his
he
first
made.
instance ever.
And I'm not even saying that the decision he made was right. Don't get that twisted. I'm just saying it was a lose-lose.
And because
nobody's
somebody
gonna
does
be
one
completely
thing,
satisfied.
You have to track record. I don't think just because somebody does one thing one time, depending on how bad it is, of course, there's levels to it. That doesn't. We shouldn't just count him out on one thing. Now there's been multiple things where we can be like, all right, I can understand. But that was his first instance out of 15, 20 years he's been in the industry. That's your first mistake. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of going back to the Nick Cannon stuff. That was his first ever out of all that stuff. 20 years in the industry stuff.